Arizona won the toss and elected to receive to get the football. And why not when you have the always dangerous LaRod Stevens-Howling, who of course returned a kickoff for a touchdown last week in Minnesota, his second of the year, and this one 4 yards deep from his own end zone. And a big hole. You just talked about the return, and that went up to the 47-yard line. So we are just underway. The opening kickoff returned 51 yards by LaRod Stevens-Howling in his second year out of Pitt. Back in the starting lineup at quarterback, it's Derek Anderson, the former Raven, longtime Cleveland Brown, began the year as their starter. And of course, taking over for the retired Kurt Warner. Max Hall started 3 straight games, and now Anderson back in there. Hightower figures to get most of the carries today. No Chris Wells, still being bothered by a bad knee, and up front they're hoping to protect their quarterback and start a running game again.
Yeah, they've got to get this front five's got to get the running game cranked up so that Derek Anderson can play action fake and take a shot down the field.
Anderson's first throw on a 2nd and 9. They set up the screen, and cutting it back to the middle of the field down to the 37-yard line is LaRod Stevens-Howling. He's becoming a bigger part of this Arizona offense the last couple of weeks. Take a look at Seattle up front. They're already missing a couple of big bodies.
Yeah, the loss of Red Bryant really hit this defense. They've got to find a way to stop the run. They probably have to involve the secondary and the linebackers to do it.
And back in that secondary, the rookie Earl Thomas leads them in interceptions with 4. On the first down, back to the ground and back to Hightower. And he picks up 3, wrapped up by Chris Clemens. Not only missing Red Bryant, they're also missing Colin Cole along that defensive line.
Yeah, they've had to adjust to obviously people in and out of the lineup. They've got a talented secondary. They've played many times, Tom, with 5 and 6 DBs. If for no other reason, that's all they've had healthy. That's not going to work against the Cardinals because they clearly want to run the ball. They're going to need a normal front 7 involving the front offensive or defensive line and the linebacking core.
Anderson looking for Fitzgerald. Is that a catch? Yes, inside the 5.
Great jump ball. I mean, Larry Fitzgerald, this is exactly where you want to put the ball with Larry Fitzgerald. His ability to go up, strong hands, great leaping ability. Great job by the officials. I don't know if this will bring about a challenge or not. Looks not.
Yep, it is. Yep. Pete Carroll has just thrown that flag. You see it up there around the 8-yard line.
And even whether they saw it or not, this is a big enough play, obviously, for Seattle. It's almost you can throw the flag in hopes that you see something on the film. We're going to have to see. Obviously, it comes to he had control of the ball. There's no question about that. Where did the feet come down?
Seattle is challenging the ruling on the field that it is a completed pass.
Scott Green, our referee, will look it over as we go to break. You be the judge. Did both feet come down inbounds? After a 33-yard completed pass, that's a ruling on the field to Larry Fitzgerald. Pete Carroll challenges the play. Carroll is 3 of 7 in challenges this year.
Well, it's all about the left foot. Here we go.
After reviewing the play, the ruling on the field stands. Seattle is charged with a timeout.
And the key there is the term that he used, that the call stands, which means it wasn't confirmed by the video, but there wasn't enough information or enough of a look to overturn the call. Here you can see clearly the right foot's down, but as that left foot comes down right there, You can see it goes a little bit further. There wasn't enough there to say he was clearly out of bounds. The call on the field has to stand.
For first and goal, Arizona at the 3-yard line. Hightower tiptoes to the end zone. First time this season Arizona scores on its opening possession of the game.
Nice patience by Hightower. He starts down one side, cuts off on the goal line, just the subtlest of cutbacks, untouched into the end zone.
Jay Feely for the point after to make it 7-0. 5 plays, 52 yards. And a Hightower touchdown to put Arizona in front. Couple of big plays. The kickoff return to start it by Stevens Howling, the 33-yard completion to Larry Fitzgerald, and then Hightower the touchdown, putting Arizona in front 7-0. We'll keep an eye on that St. Louis-San Francisco game throughout the afternoon. Another very dangerous return man is Leon Washington. And he is stuffed at the 23-yard line by Darrell Washington. So here comes Matt Hasselbeck. He suffered a concussion in the game against Oakland 2 weeks ago. Did not play against the Giants. Can this offensive line protect him?
Well, that's the key, Tom. This is the 7th different offensive starting line that they've had in 9 games. That's going to be the key, not only to protecting Hasselbeck, but getting Marshawn Lynch cranked up in the running game.
Short gain on the wide receiver screen to Dion Butler. Take a look at Arizona defensively, and a big piece of that defense. No Darnell Dockett today. He's out with an injured shoulder.
And that definitely hurts them. They felt like they could contain or get after the Seattle quarterback with just their front 7, but without Dockett, they may have to include Adrian Wilson out of the secondary.
Clark Hagan's back after missing the last 2 games with a groin injury. And Dockett, for the first time in his career, misses a game. Should have been intercepted. Right into the hands of Gerald Hayes. We talked about Seattle's offensive line. They're still without, the rookie Russell Okung. And Arizona missing Beanie Wells. And we mentioned Dockett. 3rd and 8. No Robinson. No Golden Tate. And again, no Colin Cole. Blitz coming. Seattle picks it up. And a jump ball, and coming down along the sideline is Mike Williams. Williams had 11 catches along with a touchdown in Seattle's win earlier this year 3 weeks ago over Arizona.
Well, we've seen 2 big plays now by big physical receivers. Mike Williams certainly not yet in Larry Fitzgerald's class, but he has that potential at 6'5" to go up and take a ball over the top of a defender.
A 32-yard reception for Williams, who was out of football the last 2 years. Basically ate his way out of the game, the former #1 pick of Detroit. Pump fake. Dangerous throw that time, and defended nicely by Greg Toller. Well, we talked to Matt Hasselbeck yesterday and asked him about some of the tests he has to undergo to find out after a concussion if he's well enough to go. I'm not so sure even without a concussion there are a lot of people that could pass that thing.
I know I could. And my biggest concern is this league is this test in Miami the same test in Chicago as it is in Seattle if you're going to take one of my players off the field.
Lynch stays on his feet. Good hard running by Lynch. And this week, some extra protection inside that helmet a new one from the game in Oakland 2 weeks ago.
And you can see these panels on the helmet here. The league constantly looking for the best possible combination to protect these players. There's a lot out there on the market that people are looking at. We got to be very careful with what we're testing these helmets on before we put them on our players.
Third and 4, the slant to Williams. He beats Toller. It's a first down to the 27.
And coming in, Arizona felt very good about their ability to match up with Michael Williams because they've got unusually large corners. Both Toller and Rogers Cromartie are better than 6 foot. But Mike Williams, I tell you what, at 6'5", 242 yards, or 242 pounds, he had kind of a coming out when we did their game in Seattle with 11 catches.
First and 10, they'll give it to Lynch, and coming down the line to greet him is Calais Campbell. We talked about Williams, that coming out game, 11 receptions, 87 yards, and a touchdown. He's been an amazing comeback story. Most people had written him off, but his old college coach, Pete Carroll, called him up, gave him one more try, and he's making the most of it.
Yeah, and you remember now, this was a top 10 pick. And this guy, you love to have a guy like that in your locker room, someone that knows what it is to be out of football and appreciates being back in it.
Ben Obamanu to the 24. Let's check in along the sideline with Nichelle Turner. Hi, Nichelle.
Hey, guys. Well, Tom, you've been talking about Mike Williams. He's been frustrated this past couple weeks. He had a couple bad games. He was battling a knee injury. Now, this week in practice, he dislocated his finger, and Coach Carroll said this was nasty with the bone sticking out. I talked to Mike today. He said the knee's better, the finger's taped, and expect to see the deep ball between him and Matt Hasselbeck today. We've seen it once. We'll see what happens. Back to you.
Great stuff, Nichelle. Great to have you with us.
Starting to see pressure off that weak side.
Here they come. And there's Williams again as if on cue, and that's a first down to the 12-yard line. While we have a moment, let's check in up the road in Los Angeles and check in with Kurt Menefee.
And we will take you to Denver, where the Denver Broncos have jumped out to an early lead over Kansas City. Brandon Lloyd with a 6-yard reception from Kyle Orton. Orton 2 touchdown passes already, and it's 14-zip in the first quarter. Tom and Brian.
All right, Kurt, a great start for the Denver Broncos out to that 14-0 lead.
Yeah, it was interesting they chose to bring pressure. Evidently, they're not getting enough pressure with just their down 7 or their down 3. Change the complexion of the game with Arizona having to bring those safeties.
First down, Hasselbeck lays it off to Lynch. Boy, and he's a load coming at you. And it's first and goal.
Well, both teams are getting the balance that they wanted coming in. Both these teams want to run the ball, make plays down the field, obviously in the passing game. That consistency has not existed up to now. And their ability to make these types of plays, this is nothing more than an extended pitch. This little flare pass to the running back, that's like a toss play. They can get this out of their running game as well. And you look at that as though it is a run, be huge for Seattle.
Play fake. Hasselbeck still looking around. He had an open receiver in the back of the end zone, Chris Baker, and he just missed him.
Yeah, a late throw like that, Matt Hasselbeck, enough of a veteran to know I got to be very careful with this. I'm going to keep it high in that instance, maybe just a little too high. Now only second down. You don't want to turn the ball over in this scoring position.
Seattle has really struggled in the red zone. In fact, in the first meeting against Arizona, 7 times the Seahawks inside the Arizona 20. Only had 1 touchdown, but they have a touchdown today. Marshawn Lynch, his second rushing touchdown of the year, and for 2 offenses that didn't come limping in, that came crawling in. What a good start.
And we talked about, and here it's just downhill running. Your 11 against my 11. The thing that you love here is both teams. We talked about in the open, Tom. How are they going to emotionally respond after devastating losses? Both have come out with a lot of energy, executing well.
Bad snap, but they got it down, and the point is good by Mare. 7-7 in the opening quarter. What a start for each of these offenses. Having a hard time putting up touchdowns, but each with one already. 3 of 3 on third downs on that Seattle drive, including the 32-yard reception by Mike Williams. Stevens howling, the big return a moment ago. He'll get another chance. This one from the 10, and then fumbles it out of bounds. So Arizona will get the football at the 17-yard line when we return. .7:42 to play in the opening quarter. Arizona getting the football for the second time in a 7-7 game. Cardinals beginning this drive from their own 17-yard line. Hightower trying to stretch it to the outside. Is run out of bounds after a gain of 3, and a late flag comes in.
Real rivalry in the NFC West that we have because of the way these two teams have competed over the years.
Personal foul, horse collar tackle, number 36, defense. 15 yards from the end of the run, first down.
That's a 15-year veteran, Lawyer Malloy.
You can see he's just got a hold right here, and you can't. Boy, no, I don't know. It didn't look like it's got to be the hand inside the back. He just got a hold of the jersey. Boy, I'm wanting on that one. I'm not quite sure where they get the horse collar out of that one.
I'm with you. So an automatic first down, and after the penalty, it's up to the 35-yard line. Anderson, good protection. And that is a first down reception up to the 47 to the tight end, Ben Patrick. Some of the early games around the NFL, that's a big win for Chicago. Congratulations to Buffalo. So many close games recently, and finally getting its first win of the year. Tampa Bay continues to win. The Jets have won it in the final seconds of overtime in Cleveland. And a miracle finish in Jacksonville.
Unbelievable finish.
You haven't seen that one. It's a Hail Mary that was batted into the arms of a receiver to win the game on the final play of the game. This is Stevens' spot for another first down. And speaking of the Jets, Kurt Menefee tells you how they won their game. Kurt.
The Jets got the ball back with 30 seconds to go in overtime. Mark Sanchez hooking up with Santonio Holmes, and they win it with 16 ticks left in the OT. 26-20. Jets win an OT for the second straight week. Tom, Brian in the show.
So the former Ohio State Buckeye comes back to beat the Cleveland Browns wearing a Jets uniform, Santonio Holmes. Hightower spins out of one tackle, and is wrapped up and taken to the ground by Aaron Curry.
Well, you can see the plan of Arizona in terms of the balance of the run. We've seen a couple boots or waggles by Derek Anderson, dropping the ball off to the tight ends. Not normally a big part of this offense, but this is just the balance that head coach Ken Whisenhunt, who is also calling the plays, is trying to achieve with Derek Anderson. He really is trying to form this offense around Derek Anderson rather than morph him into something that he's not, which is Kurt Warner.
Second and 9. Anderson out of the shotgun. Incomplete. Let's go downstairs to Nichelle Turner.
Hey guys, well, you know, Tim Hightower's off to a pretty good start, but just 2 weeks ago he told me he was wondering if he could even play in this league anymore. When he got yanked out of the starting role for Beanie Wells, he went through a really rough mental patch. He said that he talked to a lot of people about it, but the person that helped him out of the fog, Beanie Wells. Beanie leaned on him how to get over an injury. Tim leaned back on him. They said, let's get through this together. Back to you.
It's good stuff. Cardinals miss Beanie Wells.
They do. The physicality of his running style really would do them well.
3rd down and 9. Good protection. Through the hands of the intended target, early Doucette, and then nearly picked off by Jonathan Babineau, Jordan Babineau.
You know, Derek Anderson is not the most accurate of quarterbacks. He's a sub 60% guy. It's those types of throws. You can see him right there saying, that was on me. Even though that's a short 4 or 5 yard throw, those have got to be the most accurate because you've got to hit a guy where it's safe. You've got to be able to lead him. It's that lack of efficiency that has cost Derek Anderson at times a starting job.
So the first stop for either defense in this opening quarter. Ben Graham on the punt, and they're going to give him a little bit of extra room,
and they'll decline the penalty.
False start. Offense number 49. 5-yard penalty. 4th down.
Yeah, we go through this little dance. I'm surprised they don't turn it down from the standpoint of, see where Pete Carroll's trying to say decline it, decline it.
Yep.
What you're trying to do is buy a little yardage so you don't kick it into the end zone. So you let the time elapse. You take the penalty, and the opposing team says, no, we decline the penalty. So we go through this dance every week, and it ends up being the same thing.
End over end punt by Graham. Washington will let it bounce. And it's down inside the 10 at the 9-yard line. Hope everyone's had a terrific weekend, and thanks for making us a part of your Sunday. The NFL on Fox, a big one today in the NFC West. A 7-7 game, second possession for Seattle. Hasselbeck sacked inside the 5 by Calais Campbell.
Well, this is what we talked about, the ability to put pressure on Matt Hasselbeck with just a 4-man rush. You're going to see it right here. They're just going to, they're just going to bring a 4-man rush, and if they can continue to put pressure on Hasselbeck with just the 4 guys, that gives defensive coordinator Billy Davis a whole lot of latitude to change up his coverages on the back end.
They're running on 2nd and 16, a big Dan Williams, who's coming on strong, the #1 pick.
And this is where Seattle's got to be careful. This is where a defensive coordinator, obviously with a 3rd and a ton, 3rd and 17, you can do a whole lot of things. Again, if you can get by with a 4-man rush, you can run trap defenses. Jeremy Bates has to recognize, I want to get the first down, but I can't call something that's going to force my quarterback to throw the ball, particularly in the middle of the field where you're most vulnerable.
That play clock's down to 3. They may not get it off. They just do. 3 and out, they'll punt from their own end zone. Well, Deion Butler was standing all by himself. I'm not sure he would have gotten to the first down marker, but they'd have at least picked up a little bit of yardage there.
Yeah, instead of your punter punting out of the back of his end zone, which is always a dangerous thing. And this is an interesting dance by the punter. I want you to watch our punter here. He has to put his foot right on the end line to know exactly where he is to step forward.
Play blown dead, penalty flag, and what a punt that was. A missed opportunity for Seattle if this is against the Seahawks. Because I don't know if Ryan.
Prior to the snap, false start. Offense number 39. Half the distance to the goal. 4th down.
Wow, like
Cox.
He's got to back up even further. And let's watch the punter here as he comes out. But I want you to watch the way he sets himself up. He's now backed up even further. He sets himself. He's going to know exactly where he is. Watch, he's looking down. Where can I step? I've got to start to make sure that I don't accidentally get the ball with one of my feet standing out of bounds. I'm pushed up against it. That left foot, he's got to know, all right, I'm good to go. I cannot back up so much as an inch.
And Ryan punted that ball in the air all the way to the Arizona 35-yard line. This one a low liner, returnable for Andre Roberts. Great field position for the Cardinals at the 33-yard line. Well, he gave you some of the scores from early games around the NFL. Maurice Jones-Drew rushes for 100. Calvin Johnson in a Detroit loss. 10 catches for 128 yards.
Yeah, Detroit keeps right on that cusp. You really think they're going to take that next step? To be without Matthew Stafford again, you just got to feel for Jim Schwartz and the Lions. Can't seem to cut a break in terms of them maturing as a team.
Well, you can't get much better field position than this. Hightower for 2 yards on first down.
Well, we said early, special teams were going to have to be a factor. We've seen Arizona get a short field on a great return by Stevens Howling. Great job by the punter. Graham pinning them down inside the 10, forcing them to punt out of the shadow of their own end zone. Right now, Arizona's clicking on all cylinders, offense, defense, and special teams.
All right, they've got the Wildcat formation. That's early Doucette with a shotgun, number 80. Doucette's going to throw it. Or is he? Pretty good running there by Doucette to the 29-yard line. Will bring up third down. And again, we check in with Kurt Menefee in Los Angeles.
Dallas had the Giants back-to-back pass plays from John Kitna to Dez Bryant, including this amazing one on a touchdown. Wound up being 58 yards and a score. It was initially called an incompletion. They reviewed it. TD Dallas, extra point blocked. So it's only a 6-3 lead, but Jason Garrett's team off to a good start, Tom.
All right, Kurt, thank you very much. What a spectacular job during the pregame show today by Pam Oliver and her interview with Jerry Jones.
Very interesting, and she didn't hold any punches, but she put it right to Jerry.
And he didn't.
No, he didn't
hold
blink.
back.
He didn't blink.
Blitz coming. Anderson flush to his right and nowhere to go. And effectively by taking the sack, he makes this an extremely long field goal chance if they'll even try it.
No, this is a huge mistake by Anderson. He gets flushed out of the pocket. Go ahead and let it run. You're going to see him with the pressure. He has to flush himself out to the right. All the routes went to the left. He had no place to throw it away, or he'd have been called for intentionally grounding, ostensibly being sacked out of field goal position. Huge tactical error by Arizona, taking points off the board.
And that is a huge stop for the Seattle defense. Punting from their own end zone. That drive starting at the Seattle 33-yard line. And it ends punting from a 38. Again, end over end punt. And Washington the fair catch at the 11-yard line. 7-7 with 1:41 to play in the opening quarter in Glendale. Take a look ahead next week. The NFL on Fox, some early games. Many of you will see the Cardinals and the Chiefs, others the Packers and the Vikings starting at 1 Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific, and then the late games. Seattle and New Orleans. Brian Billick, you and I will be there for that one. The defending world champions getting a bye week, and we'll crank it back up next weekend in the Big Easy.
That's a tough 1-2 combination for Seattle to come out on the road here for a tough NFC West game, and then having to go into the Dome in Seattle. This is going to test the Seattle team.
Second straight drive begins inside their own 10-yard line. Williams on the reception up to close to the 15.
Tom, I want to go back and show you what I'm talking about here. I want you to watch the routes of the receivers here, of Steve Bress and Larry Fitzgerald. They're running a shallow drag. Go ahead and let it run. They're coming across the field. Now as Derek Anderson flushes to the right, he's got no place to throw the ball. I give him credit for not just throwing it out of bounds thinking, well, I'll just get rid of it, because that would have tacked even more yards onto it with intentional grounding.
Lynch escapes a couple of tackles, and he'll be about 2 yards short of a first down, wrapped up by Alan Branch. What a big story Branch has been for Arizona. A second-round draft choice out of Michigan in 2007. And basically over his first 3 years, he did next to nothing, was very heavy. Showed up this year. They moved him from tackle to the outside and has played very well.
It's amazing how subtle it is moving a player from one position to another can really tap into their abilities. Obviously a good move for Branch and the Cardinals.
Coming into the game, Seattle mightily struggling on third down, but today 3 out of 4 and make it 4 out of 5 on a catch by Williams. That is in traffic and a nice throw, the only place he could catch it.
I want you to watch the reach and the strength of hands of Mike Williams. This was brilliant. Here you can see right here at the top. Now he's covered. This is as well covered as you're going to get. But with those long arms, he's going to reach out. And then that takes incredibly strong hands to pluck the ball that way. You're seeing all the physical skills that Mike Williams has to offer on that play.
And as Michelle Turner told you a little while ago, 2 days ago in practice, Mike Williams suffered a dislocated finger, which required stitches. That will be the final play of the quarter. 7-7. The Fox NFL Sunday will continue after these messages from Glendale. Seven game set to begin the second quarter between the Seahawks and the Arizona Cardinals. Cardinals have won back-to-back NFC West titles. Seattle won the 4 consecutively prior to 2008. And Hasselbeck down the middle of the field. And it's caught, and all the way down to the 24-yard line, it's Chris Baker.
Well, nice play call by Jeremy Bates. They empty the backfield, opening the coverage, and now a deep throw down the middle right over the top of the linebacker to a very little used Chris Baker. The tight ends both for Arizona and Seattle coming up big so far in this game, where prior to this they really have not been much a part of the offense for either Seattle or Arizona.
Baker only 4 receptions the entire season before that 44-yarder. And now Hasselbeck, a dangerous throw to the far side, completed to Dion Butler. Let's take a look inside some of the numbers from the opening quarter.
Well, as you'd expect in a 7-7 game, you know, there's balance in these numbers. Both have come up with big plays down the field. For Seattle to Mike Williams, for Arizona obviously Larry Fitzgerald. Both are running the ball fairly well.
Had an eye on Deion Branch, incomplete. Dion Butler. Of course, Deion Branch opened this season with Seattle, as did T.J. Houshmandzadeh. Branch was traded to New England, and of course Houshmandzadeh just let go, and now he's in Baltimore.
Well, they felt good about the young receivers they've got coming along, like Mike Williams, not a young receiver, but obviously new to the team. Deion Butler the same way. Golden Tate not up today, another young receiver that Seattle hopes to develop.
All 4 third down conversions have gone to Mike Williams, and they go that way again, and it's incomplete.
Great pressure by Seattle. They brought the inside backers and Adrian Wilson, always a factor in terms of pressure on the outside. We've already seen 1 third down conversion by Mike Williams on this kind of throw, but it was too far to the outside. Here you can see the pressure inside by Adrian Wilson.
41-yard field goal attempt. Murray in the first meeting between these two teams kicked 5 field goals. Good snap. Good hold. And Murray tucks it inside the right upright. Seattle leads for the first time today, much to the delight of Pete Carroll.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by Sprint, the Now Network, by GMC, the official vehicle of the NFL, and by Domino's. Oh, yes, we did.
(10-7) ball game. Interesting to note, Steve Breston is back to return this kickoff and not Larod Stevens-Howling, who has been among the most dangerous kickoff return men in the NFL. 2 brought back for touchdowns and had a big return today.
And Breston's coming back off injury the last couple weeks. I always was concerned. You put one of my top receivers out there, the potential for him getting hurt would be devastating for Arizona.
And Breston from the end zone to bring it out. And a pretty good return by Steve up to the 23-yard line. Weekdays, make lunchtime your prime time. Lunch with benefits at foxsports.com. And of course, Coach Speak with you, Brian Billick, every Tuesday. What's going on this week?
Well, we've got also, I'll be honest with you, I don't know until I get to Armando, you know who I'm talking to, but you know it'll be someone good. We've had a great run of coaches that we're able to talk to. Some great assistant coaches taking us through the X's and O's of the game as well.
Well, no sooner do you say about the danger of having a wide receiver coming back from injury return a kick. Breston, after returning the kick, was in the huddle and walked off the field early. Doucette sent him to replace him.
He's such a counterbalance to Larry Fitzgerald. I would be concerned about using him too much on special teams.
Hightower on first down breaks it to the outside, and a gain of 11 for Hightower.
You know, Hightower, Beanie Wells is a good physical back, and I know they're missing having Beanie Wells, but Tim Hightower does a nice job. I want you to watch the way he sets this downhill and then the bounce that he gets outside. He has the speed to set a defense that way and use his speed to the outside. That's an element. I know they're looking forward to getting Beanie Wells back, because when you have the size and power of Beanie Wells and that niftiness of a Hightower, that's a great 1-2 combination.
Beanie Wells really came on strong over the second half of last season. Final 8 games of the year, he rushed for nearly 500 yards, and they were hoping that he could get on the same kind of a run over these final 8 games starting today. But he had the knee surgery, which caused him to miss the first 2 games of the year, and no sooner did they feel like he was back and ready again, he had a bad reaction to an injection in that same knee and just can't get him right again.
And it underlines the vogue pattern in the NFL. You got to have 2 backs. On the other sideline with Seattle, we got Forsett and Lynch. One guy being your guy on a 350 carry year just isn't going to happen. They've got a pretty good 1-2 punch here with Wells and Hightower in Arizona.
Wide open is Breston, and that's the first down to the Seattle 42.
Nice job by Derek Anderson. We just talked about what the ability to run the ball does for you, that then after a play fake, you just hand the ball off to Hightower. Now you're going to see here a play fake. Watch the linebackers hesitate. They have to clear the run. He steps up into the pocket and delivers the ball in behind the linebackers to Steve Breston.
Anderson is hit on 5 of 7 for 92 yards. Good start for Derek. Great protection, and there's Breston again.
Again, this is pretty simple on the outside. Steve Breston, simple as a screwdriver here, is just going to run a down the middle of the field post. He pulls the tight end out underneath. Nice job by the quarterback stepping up, leading Breston. Breston is a great 1-2 punch to go with Larry Fitzgerald. They miss Anquan Bolden, obviously, but Breston proving he clearly can be the number 2 guy in an offense.
36-yard reception by Breston. They give it to Hightower on 1st and goal. Somehow escaped the tackle. right at the line of scrimmage and picks up maybe 2.
You know, you looked at Steve Breaston, and when you have Anquan Bolden here and Larry Fitzgerald, he was the perfect number 3, worked primarily in the slot. You never know what's going to happen to a guy when he gets pushed up to that next level. Clearly has to be the number 2. He's proven to be a very effective early Doucette they can now put in the slot. Steve Breaston very clearly has established himself as a top receiver in this league.
Go to Fitzgerald, and you can't play it any better than that than Will Herring just did.
Nice job by Seattle. You throw one of these quick screens outside, it's all about timing. Derek Anderson had to hesitate slightly, totally throws off the timing of the play, particularly down in the red zone. You can see here he had to come out a little bit, allows everybody to rally to it. You're counting on people in the red zone to wrap up. That's exactly what Seattle does. They'd love to hold him to 3 here. Huge 3rd down for Arizona.
They give it to Hightower on 3rd and goal from the 5.
Yeah, and the fans aren't much liking this. Derek Anderson's decision-making in the red zone has been an issue. But at this point, you've got to go with your best chance. Yeah, maybe you sneak it in. Derek Anderson would love to have had this ball in his hands. You know, yeah, you're going to try to sneak something in. Very rarely does a draw or trap. It's a great changeup, but very rarely does it work down here. It's right up there with the fade route that you love so much.
Oh, yeah. Both of them have worked quite well. Field goal try from 23 yards out is good by Jay Feely. So this clash in the NFC West, tied at 10. .10 game, good game so far, Brian Billick.
It is, and it's got the feel of a prize fight from the standpoint of the body blows. You know, you take a body blow, then we'll drive down the field. Again, keep in mind the emotional highs and lows that these two teams are coming off, like we talked about in the open. 4th quarter is going to be very interesting to see who has the stamina to finish this thing off.
Great kick by Feely, sending Leon Washington into the end zone. So the Seahawks will get it when we come back. Alongside Brian Billick and Nichelle Turner, Tom Brenneman, our entire Fox crew back in Glendale, Arizona. 8:11 to play until halftime. The Cardinals, losers of back-to-back games, 3-5 on the year. Seattle, humiliated in back-to-back games, but playing much better here today. Hasselbeck guns it to Williams, and again excellent coverage by Toller, but it's a completed pass for a 1st down up to the 32, and a late flag comes in. I mean, it just now came in.
Yeah, something had to be going on between Williams and Toller. You always worry when it takes this long to explain. As a coach, I'm going, what the heck's going on? When they got to talk, oh, now let's get the 3rd guy in here.
Delay of game, 54 defense, 5-yard penalty from the end of the play.
Yeah, okay.
1st down.
Yeah, that's just dumb. That's frustration. It's you just kick it off.
That's Gino Hayes. He's been Gerald Hayes. Thank you for the help. He's been around long enough to know better.
That's just a frustrating moment. It's only 5 yards, but you know why?
We just saw Gino Hayes.
We did.
Another number 54. Hasselbeck steps out of trouble. Oh boy. And it's caught inside the 20 by Butler. Still on his feet, back to the inside, and he is into the end zone. Wow. Dion Butler, his 3rd touchdown reception of the year. That one from 63 yards away.
Boy, this took a long one to develop. Dion Butler coming across all all the way across the field into here. This was supposed to happen a lot faster, but because it took so long, the secondary loose, that linebacker's not going to keep up with Deon Butler. You saw Wilson coming up into the line, then trying to bluff where he was. This took way too long for the Arizona secondary to happen. Nice job of Matt Hasselbeck buying time.
Point after is good. And Seattle back in front, 17-10.
You're so unbelievable.
63-yard touchdown pass, Matt Hasselbeck to Deon Butler. It's only the second touchdown pass all year of 20 yards or more by Hasselbeck.
And that's been the problem for Seattle. They kind of slowly bleed to death without the big plays. That's why they're ahead here, because they've finally got it. We saw earlier to Mike Williams, saw that one to Deon Butler. Could be huge for them if they can continue generating these big plays.
And you see LaRod Stevens howling after leaving, came back onto the field.
Now I want you to watch this. You're going to see Adrian Wilson. He's going to try to bluff into the front of the defense. This is how a big play comes about. He wants to show that he's going to jump the run. Now he gets stopped right there because of the play action fake. He gets pulled up a little bit as Butler, works his way in behind it. And Matt Hasselbeck climbs the pocket. Had he had to throw this in regular time, I don't know that they'd have pulled it off. The ability to climb the pocket, hold Wilson with the play fake, and him having to jump the underneath route. That's how a big play comes about.
So we'll see if Arizona can answer. 7:28 to play in the opening half. And Anderson to throw. Rolling. Finds Fitzgerald. That'll be a gain of 2. Arizona has missed a couple of big-time chances in this game. After Seattle had a punt from its own end zone. Got a nice return by Roberts at the 33-yard line. Eventually had to punt. And then, of course, inside the 5. Decided to run the ball on 3rd and goal. No touchdown. They did get 3. Comes in on a big run by Hightower. We'll see if it stands or whether it's coming back. There's a nice block by Reagan Mauia, the fullback, to spring Hightower into the secondary.
Holding offense, number 83. 10-yard penalty, spot of the foul, 2nd down.
That's tough with the tight end now. You get caught up, particularly we talked about the ability of Tim Hightower to bounce a play outside when you're motioning over at the tight end position. All of a sudden you get stretched and stretched. You find yourself latching on to a guy. This puts him into quite a hole now.
So rather than 1st and 10 at the 38, it's 2nd and 13 all the way back at the 17-yard line.
He's typically draw or screen area here.
Backfield, Stevens howling, and covered beautifully coming up to make the stop. Earl Thomas, 3rd down coming up. Now let's go back to Kurt Menefee in Los Angeles.
Tom, you're a baseball guy, so you're used to Brian McCann making big plays, but this one plays DB for the Cowboys. Picks off Eli Manning in the end zone, returns it 101 yards for the score. Longest pick return in Dallas Cowboy history, and Dallas, under Jason Garrett, on top of the Giants, 16-3 in the 2nd quarter. Tom?
It's amazing with all the turnovers Eli Manning has committed this year that the Giants are where they are. Anderson just throws it away. So Seattle should get very good field position with 5.5 minutes to play until halftime. Seahawks have 2 timeouts. What about the quarterback play today, Brian Billick?
Well, we're seeing some efficiency. Obviously, Matt Hasselbeck has come up with more of the big plays than has Derek Anderson, but you're seeing some efficiency here. Derek Anderson, the fans were booing him for this last one. He didn't have much time to set up and make the throw down the field. Protection a little leaky for them. but we're seeing some efficiency and productivity out of both offenses that we've not seen coming into this game.
Leon Washington. That's another end-over-end punt. And Washington from the 38. Flag down. Brings it up to the 41. We will wait on the call from Scott Green.
Illegal block in the back. Return team number 58. 10-yard penalty. First down.
It's always tough that it always seems like we can't go without 2 or 3 special teams play that we won't get a holding or a block in the back.
Tonight, Animation Domination has an all-new knockout night with The Simpsons. And after the Cleveland Show, Family Guy comes out swinging. Followed by American Dad. All new episodes start tonight, 8 Eastern, 7 Central on Fox. So from their own 30, quick throw to Williams. And that's a gain of 6. Clock continues to run. Closing in on 5 minutes to play until the half.
Matt Hasselbeck, we've talked many times, Tom, about how he likes a certain tempo. Under Mike Holmgren, that's what they were all about. They're beginning to find a rhythm between the static offensive alignments that Jeremy Bates, the offensive coordinator, likes, and the tempo that Matt Hasselbeck likes, finding that common ground between the two of them as to what's most efficient.
Pump fake and looking for Williams down the sideline, and that'll be a penalty flag against Arizona. It looked like Toller made contact with Williams.
Yeah, they had just run the hitch route by Williams. They knotted the little hitch. Oh,
now they're picking up the flag. Or are they? We still wait.
Illegal contact. Defense. 5-yard penalty. Automatic first down. The pass was incomplete.
Yeah, they were just, you can see right, they just ran the hitch. Now right here, hitch and go, just the subtle. You can't help, you can't blame Toller for all of a sudden he steps to the cover of the hitch. You put your hands up almost to just kind of get about out of each other's way. Tough for a DB in that instance, but you can't touch him after the 5-yard. Clearly a good call.
And what they were waving off was any thoughts that Kerry Rhodes intercepted that pass along the sideline. Crossing pattern, Abamanu all the way to the 35, back to the middle of the field and tackle to the 23, but 2 penalty flags are in the backfield.
Yeah, I got a feeling this one's going to come back. Looked like we may have had a couple holds.
Holding. Offense. Number 69. 10-yard penalty. First down.
That's Chester Pitts, who started at left tackle last week, left guard this week.
That's right here. You're going to see Pitts gets a handful of Calais Campbell. Anytime you get from behind and you can read the back of a guy's jersey, I think he had him. Might have gotten away with it if he hadn't twisted him at the last little bit. We're seeing Seattle much more lineup formationally, a little less motion. Matt Hasselbeck, show me what the defense is going to show me. I'll adjust from there. They start out doing a lot more motioning and shifting when they first started out the season. Much more stationary now.
False start. Offense number 77. 5-yard penalty. First down.
That's Stacey Andrews, the right guard. Of course, they're missing their 2 original starting guards from this year.
Well, and Russell Okung out at left tackle. Like we said, this is the 7th different grouping along the offensive line that Seattle has had. Okung, really, we were there for the Chicago game, Tom. What a great job he did against Julius Peppers, but he hasn't been back on the field since.
First and 25, trying to get some of it back. And that's Justin Forsett out of the backfield up to the 34-yard line. Well, they weren't sure right up to the final hours before the game whether Okung might be able to play.
Well, like I said, this guy was very impressive with very little help. Kind of shut down Julius Peppers in their big win at Chicago, but has not been back on the line. You can see right there, he's just carrying that foot. As a tackle on the left side, you can't not be 100%. You can't not be able to push off that outside foot.
Ran it much more effectively with Okung on the field in limited time, albeit. Play clock running out, and Matt Hasselbeck calls timeout. Mike Williams 11 catches in the first game against Arizona, and already Brian Billick 7 of them today for 91 yards.
Well, clearly he's become the go-to guy, and again, it's the sheer size of this guy. Very talented, doesn't necessarily have the separation you're looking for even from a big man, but Matt Hasselbeck loves this guy because this is a big sweep spot with those long arms and strong hands. I can throw this thing in anywhere near the vicinity and have a comfort zone that this big receiver will come up with the ball.
All right, second down and 16. Seattle with 1 timeout remaining and 3:14 to play until halftime. Hasselbeck wide open. Albamadu all the way down to the 25-yard line. How does he get that wide open?
Well, you're going to see him motion across the field here and came from the other side, changing rotation. Again, Adrian Wilson hesitating, looking to the outside receiver when he should have been in the deep outside quarter. I think he kind of hung Toller out to dry here and has given up another big play. Adrian Wilson, one of the top safeties in this league, maybe seeing a little too much right now.
First down to the 25, and they'll give it to Forsett, who picks up maybe 2, wrapped up by Paris Lennon. Well, this Seattle offense has been among the worst in the NFL this season, but look at some of these numbers so far today.
And it's the big plays down the field, as we've been talking about. He's hit one to Butler. He just came up with a big play down the field. We've seen Mike Williams down the field. We've not seen this in the previous 9 games.
We have reached a 2-minute warning. Seattle trying to add to a 7-point lead. Two-minute warning. 17-10, Seattle in front, and the Seahawks with the football at the Arizona 24-yard line. What an afternoon so far for Hasselbeck. Catch is made down at the 18-yard line. And the clock continues to run. That was Chris Baker, who had a 44-yard reception earlier in the game.
Down here in the red zone, this is where you love. Here he looks like the hand comes down on the helmet. Boy, you worry about that. A quarterback on the follow-through hitting that hand. You can see right there on the top of the helmet. You hope that that's not an issue for him going forward.
Third down. He makes a good throw. And I don't think Dion Butler got to the first down marker. Needed to get to the 15. If he didn't get there, 4th down, Brian Billick, and less than a yard. Are you going to try for the field goal, or are you going for it?
Yeah, to me, you go for the field goal because you put it in that 2-score category here. As much as you'd like to go for it and show some oomph and give yourself a chance for the touchdown, if you kick the field goal ostensibly and make it, you've put it into that 2-score category. Always coveted.
Well, they're going to. I'm not even sure they're going to measure. Arizona's taken a timeout. Pete Carroll appears to be thinking about this decision.
Well, and you love the bravado, and let's make it happen. You'd love to give yourself that opportunity. Right now, this is a tight game, and I think that 2-score separation becomes the priority.
You can read his lips. He asked Jeremy Bates, can we make it? Jeremy Bates said something back to him, and he said, I want to make it.
And what coordinator worth his salt is going to go, nah, coach, I don't think so. I don't think I can get a yard.
You can read those lips.
That's an unfair question. I want to see the coordinator that says, nah, coach, I don't think I can get a yard.
Well, whatever he said, Brian, they're going for it.
You better be right.
3 of 8 on 4th downs this year. This is 4th and less than a yard. Justin Forsett in the backfield.
That's curious, having your smaller, quicker back there rather than the big Marshawn Lynch. Going to sneak it.
This is going to be very close. I'm not sure he got there.
It looked like he rolled right to the 15-yard line, and where I'm looking at the markers, we'll see. Let's measure it. Ooh, boy, with that spot, I don't think they made it. You can see right here, the ball is just on the 15-yard line, so let's see where Matt Hasselbeck gets. Boy, they're spotting it right in here. I think it's short. A little marker's going wild there. Boy, let's see. Based on the spot, nope.
And Brian, you know, Hasselbeck was not even hit by anybody and fell to the ground.
Yeah, you needed to stay because they wadded up in the middle. You're going to see right here on the replay. That's a whole lot of beef in there. Typically, a quarterback will just kind of work down the line. Now work your legs, stay up, cover it up. I don't know whether he gets tripped up. No, you got to work your feet better than that because we're only talking inches here. I tell you what, you just cost yourself a 2-score separation in scoring position.
It looked like he tripped over his own offensive lineman's leg. All right, so 1:02 to go. And Seattle can't convert on 4th and less than 1. Down the middle of the field, it's Preston. And he's to the 49. Arizona has 2 timeouts left. And they'll hurry it up. Are they going to call a timeout? Anderson looks to the sideline. No, they will not. Well, they're wasting a lot of time here after the 32-yard completion. Clock stops. 31 seconds left. Let's go back to Pete Carroll now. See if you can read his lips here. He'll turn around and he'll say, can we make it?
Yeah, I mean, and I love Pete's competitive.
Want to make it.
You know, Pete's a competitor. You could say, I want it, but how do you ask a guy, can we make it? I want to see the guy that says, no, coach, we can't go a yard, send in the field goal team. I don't know what kind of future you're going to have. You tell your head coach that. Goodness gracious.
2nd down and 10. Meanwhile, looking for a wide open receiver, and Preston dropped it.
Wow. That uncharacteristic. Here you see them work on Matt Hasselbeck's hand. It's the opposite hand there, so that's not the throwing hand that we saw earlier. You can do anything with your left hand when you're a right-handed quarterback. He said, don't worry about it. I can still throw with my right. This is where Derek Anderson's decision-making process on the 3rd down. You've had a big play to keep this drive alive. You don't want to put it back in the hands of Seattle.
27 seconds remaining. Blitz coming. Arizona picks it up. And it's incomplete. 22 ticks remaining. Coming up on the Visa halftime report. Kurt, Terry, Howie, Michael, and Jimmy will have all the scores and highlights from around the league. The Vikings' troubles continue. They go on the road after a big win last week. They lose today in Chicago. And how about the Bucs? We had their game when they lost a tight one in the waning moments last week in Atlanta, but bounced back to win again.
What do they say? We just want to be relevant going into December. Well, they're relevant. You got to give kudos to them the way they're playing.
Punt by Graham. And Washington, a fair catch at the 12-yard line. Matt Hasselbeck will sprint to the locker room, I'm sure, to get an x-ray on that left thumb, left hand. They'll send in Charlie Whitehurst, who of course made his first NFL start last week against the New York Giants.
And this is going to be a familiar play for Whitehurst because he's probably going to take a knee and lose yardage, which was happened to him all last week against New York.
But if you're Seattle, despite that 4th and 1, you have to feel very good about this first half on the road.
You're on the road. You're up by 7. You've had some efficiency out of your offense. You've had big plays out of your offense. And your defense has stepped up as well.
Well, you talk about some big plays. You're talking about a dormant Seattle offense this entire year. Yet in the first half, nearly 300 yards of offense. Arizona started the scoring on the touchdown to Hightower, but back came Seattle on the run by Lynch. The big 63-yard touchdown reception by Dion Butler. And the Seahawks, 267 passing yards and a 17-10 halftime lead.
Yeah, anytime on the road you can go in with the lead, that is huge for Seattle. Now for Arizona, the challenge, big emotional loss to Minnesota. Can we come back at home and regain our momentum after half?
Follow your favorite team all season long by going to itunes.com/NFL. You get a look at Charlie Whitehurst standing on the sideline, Brian Billick. We saw just before the half, Matt Hasselbeck, they were looking at his left thumb, his left hand, race back into the locker room, and that is not good news for Seahawk fans.
No, this is going to change the price of poker in this game now, because Matt Hasselbeck playing very well. They've gotten a lot of big plays. That's been the difference in the game right now, and obviously a 7-point game. Can Charlie Whitehurst come up with those same big plays? Because I think they're going to need it.
We're going to find out right from the get-go, because Seattle will get the football to begin the second half. Seattle, by the way, 4-0 this year when leading at halftime. They've had a terrible time coming back in games. In fact, they have not come back from a deficit larger than 7 points all year long, nor have they won a game in which they trailed at any point in the second half. But they lead as we begin the third quarter. Leon Washington will take a knee. So here comes Charlie Whitehurst from the sideline at quarterback. Some of the numbers that you like to pay attention to, Brian Billick.
Well, obviously in the passing yards, it's about the big plays of Seattle. Third down, you're not going to go very far, Arizona, unless you can convert on a third down. They've had a pretty good starting point, so Arizona needs some big plays. Obviously, third down is going to be huge in this. Arizona may need some help by way of a defensive turnover or continued good field position by their special teams. Charlie
Whitehurst in his 5th year out of Clemson. Came over to trade from San Diego, where he's been backing up Phillip Rivers the last 4 years. His first pass attempt to Obamanu is completed up to the 27-yard line. For more on the Matt Hasselbeck story, let's check in with Nichelle Turner.
Well, guys, I didn't get much definitive answers on Hasselbeck, but I was told his return for the game is probable. They were looking at his hand, though. Coach Carroll also told me when I asked him why go for it on 4th down, he said it's simple. I thought we were going to make it. Coach Wisenhunt, on the other hand, said they have made a change at corner. Greg Toller was getting torched by Mike Williams. They took him off right before half. Let's see what happens. Back to you.
And Nichelle, thank you. It is Michael Adams replacing Toller and bursting into the secondary. And still on his feet is Forsett. They can't bring him down. All the way to the 44-yard line on the first big carry of the game for Justin Forsett.
Justin Forsett looks like he was shot out of a cannon. The way he got through that line and then just absolutely exploded. That burst that Forsett has as a counterbalance to the power of Marshawn Lynch is exactly what Pete Carroll wanted with this flash and dash combination. He got plenty of flash and dash for Forsett right there.
Forsett, a 29-yard run, and on first down they play fake to Lynch, and Whitehurst finds Lynch, who beats one tackler and another, crosses the field, and still on his feet inside the 25 down to the 22-yard line. And the crowd booing, and understandably so. We are seeing some brutal tackling by this Arizona defense. Lynch is just out of gas. He's not hurt.
Yeah, that was a long way to go for that extra 5 yards. He's not used to that. But boy, you talk about if you had any questions, well, you got your backup quarterback in. Maybe they're just going to hand it off, let him get some rhythm. They started out with a pass to Michael Williams. Now he's dumped it off underneath and gotten some pretty good yardage out of it. And then that big run by Forsett.
Well, Lynch finally getting to his feet. He's just trying to catch his breath. See the trainer walking and running alongside him, was smiling halfway towards the sideline. Gain of 22.
Well, Arizona down by 7 coming out in the half. They'd have loved to have that 3 and out to grab the emotion back from a Seattle team that got to go into the locker room at halftime up by 7. They sure didn't do it here because Seattle's feeling good about itself. Now inside scoring position.
Should be noted, Mike Williams has just come out of the Seattle locker room. And it's intercepted by Rogers Cromartie. That had danger written all over it.
Well, I don't know about this one. They ran a double move to one side, a little hesitation and go. And then he came back to the other side of the field late on a hitch. That's going to get you beat every single time.
Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie, a Pro Bowler and cornerback a season ago, gets his second interception, and this one stops a Seattle drive. With the Seahawks trying to add to a 7-point lead, so Arizona with the ball and Hightower up close to midfield. Let's go back to the interception.
Boy, someone's going to have to explain this one now. Charlie Whitehurst, I want you to watch. Come back in here. They're trying to work a double move at the bottom. So he nods it and comes back. Now stop right there. The last thing you never, ever, ever, I'll make sure I'm clear here, Tom. Never do you then come back on a quick hitch to the other side of the field. That was not the way that play was designed, I promise you. And Charlie Whitehurst cannot make a mistake like that again, or it'll be the last time he sees the field.
Blitz coming, and they pick it up. But the ball batted down as they were trying to set up the screen to Jason Wright. Some of the numbers in the first half, a very quiet half for really Arizona offensively. Anderson without a touchdown throw, nor an interception. Hightower just 38 rushing yards and 12 chances, and Preston made the most noise.
This is third down for Arizona. They're 0 for 5 on the game so far. They've got to convert on a third down at some point. They want to get back into this.
Here comes Roy Malloy on a blitz, and they pick it up. And then thrown behind Fitzgerald. No penalty flag.
Well, that was neither nor. That was neither a down the field throw nor the throwback on the back shoulder. It looks like he was just counting. You can see the matchup here. I don't know if Fitzgerald thought it was going to be on the back shoulder. At the last minute had to readjust. Normally Larry Fitzgerald will come up with that with those strong hands. I think it probably caught him off guard, the fact that it was inside and not on a back shoulder throw.
So the Cardinals can't take advantage of the interception. And this one into the end zone. Well, we'll see who comes back out at quarterback. Is it Whitehurst? Is it Hacko Hasselbeck? Three minutes into this third quarter, Seattle leading 17-10. Larry Fitzgerald and the Cardinals just punting it away to Seattle, who still has Charlie Whitehurst in at quarterback. Matt Hasselbeck still being worked on in the locker room, who had a very, very good first half. They pitch it on the end around. Obamanu all the way up to the 33-yard line.
Yeah, we looked at it here. We saw him hit his throwing hand on the top of the helmet, but somewhere in that process, it's the left hand that gave him some difficulty here. Normally a quarterback on a non-throwing hand has to be pretty serious for him not to be in there with an injury to his left hand.
13-yard carry by Obamanu. Obamanu watches as Forsett has a big carry up to the 50.
Boy, you just got to be impressed with this, the explosion out of this guy. The way he gets into that line and just explodes down the field. Pretty efficient day here for Matt Hasselbeck, obviously. Justin Forsett, of course, a lot of this just coming in the second half. Mike Williams, as we said earlier, had a career day against him the last time they played, on the way to another big day.
And again out of the backfield and making a catch, another big one for Obamanu, and that's very close to another first down depending on the spot. He might be about a yard short.
With Williams and Obamanu in the game, that's a good big pair of receivers. I don't know that you get a lot of vertical stretch with those guys. Obamanu, a guy that's good on special teams, very physical. So with he and Williams, you get a good physical presence in the running game as well. But clearly Deion Butler, as we've already seen, is their big play stretch guy.
Lynch back in the game. They fake it to him and pitch it to Forsett. And he's run out of bounds at the 35-yard line. That'll be another first down. And let's send it back to Los Angeles and check in with Kurt Menefee.
Well, some of the lights aren't working at the new Meadowlands, but maybe that's because the Giants, well, they're having their lights turned out by the Cowboys right now. Felix Jones takes a little dump pass, 71 yards for the score. The Cowboys, their first game under Jason Garrett, all over New York, 26-6, early in the second half. Tom and Coach?
This goes to show you, Brian, something that's been going on all year long. Just when you think somebody's trying to become the best team in the NFC, they take a big step back. It's been going on all year, really across the league. Shard loose. Is that a catch and then a fumble? No signal given by the official standing right in front of the play. That is a fumble and a turnover.
Well, this one's going to be reviewed, I promise you.
Well, two of the officials are talking about it right in front of the Arizona sideline, and now they signal after meeting that it is indeed a catch and a fumble, and Arizona has a ball.
I will be shocked if we don't see the flag out of Pete Carroll on this one. This happened awful quickly. I don't see the second football act, him turning. We'll find out when we come back.
Seattle has challenged the call on the field. The call was a completed pass and then a fumble, giving Arizona the football.
And it looks here, obviously, as a Mike Pereira will tell us, it is a bang bang. That happens awful quickly. I'll be surprised if they don't rule this as an incompletion.
All right, let's check in with Mike Pereira, the former head of officials in the National Football League, from our Fox Command Center. Mike, what are we looking for here?
Hey, I'll tell you what, I think that it's a bang-bang play. You played in real time. To me, there's not enough time of possession, not the element of time that you need. And I think, you come to this if he's made a football move of some kind. But to me, in real time, bang, bang. I think they reverse this to an incomplete pass.
Mike, I've got a question. When the official comes, looks at it, can he ask for it in either slow motion or in real time?
Certainly can, and they'll probably show it to him both ways. First time real speed.
After reviewing the play, the receiver lost possession of the ball prior to getting his second foot down on the ground. The pass is incomplete. It'll be second down and 10 on the 35-yard line. Please reset the game clock to 9:35. Seattle is not charged with a timeout.
So, Mike, exactly what you thought would happen.
Yeah, that to me is the big issue. It's a bang-bang play, and you want those incomplete, no cheap fumbles.
I got to tell you, Mike, I love it when you say that. I still have no clue what bang-bang means, but it seems to all add up well.
something near simultaneous. Something
Gotcha.
like
I
that.
love it. I love it. Now I get it.
So now, Brian, are you okay with Mike Pereira after all those years you disagree with him and get fined by the NFL?
He still owes me at least a bottle of wine for the $75,000 he got into my back pocket for.
I think at least a case.
I'm in. I'm good. I get to pick the wine, though.
No.
Thank you, Mike. All right, Seattle dodged a bullet here. Let's see if they want to put it back in Charlie Weishurst's hands.
Throwing on second down. The pass is caught by Mike Williams, and that's down to the 20-yard line.
Boy,
And by the way, with that challenge by Pete Carroll, even though he won that challenge, he is out of challenges for the remainder of the game. You may remember he lost one back in the first half.
Right, and you've got to get both in order to get that third.
That doesn't make much sense to me. Then you're going to look at Matt Hasselbeck with a bandaged left hand, his non-throwing hand, coming out of the Seahawks locker room. They're going to give it to Lynch, and he gets 2. All right, now, Brian, if you're Pete Carroll, your team's got a pretty good drive here right now. You're going to get Hasselbeck cranked up. Would you put him in right away after a couple throws on that sideline?
I've got to see how he moves around. Right now, Matt Hasselbeck's telling him I'm fine. The problem really is not in throwing the ball because it's in his offhand, handing the ball off. We saw last year Carson Palmer handing off with the opposite hand the whole game. Can Matt Hasselbeck hand off with that left hand? Is he fun? You can see right now, Pete Carroll, are you okay? Can you hand the ball off? Again, Matt Hasselbeck's a competitor. I'd be surprised if he weren't saying, Coach, I'm fine, put me in.
Take it one way, and Whitehurst rolling. He'll step out of bounds after picking up a yard. I mean, would you put him in here third down?
No, you don't put a cold Matt Hasselbeck in here. I'd let Whitehurst finish this drive out at the very least.
Well, Hasselbeck wants to come in. That was that fourth down carry right at the bottom of the pile, perhaps, is where that left.
Looked like his own man maybe rolled up over that left hand.
Yep.
Or that left wrist. Michael Williams down here. He's been the go-to guy.
They hand it off. Wow. And force set to the 16-yard line, wrapped up by Calais Campbell. So out comes the field goal unit.
Yeah, and with a 3rd and long, we talked about, kind of criticized Pete Carroll for going on it on 4th down and not getting that 2-score separation. Good, safe handoff there, not a high percentage of converting, but now you get the field goal here. You put it to that 10-point differential, that 2 scores we're constantly talking about.
34-yard field goal try by Olindo Mare to make it a 10-point Seahawks lead, and right down the middle. Seattle 20, Arizona 10. Largest lead of the afternoon for either team, 20-10 Seattle. And again, Steve Breston is back to return this kickoff. Larod Stevens-Howling, who's returned a pair of kickoffs for touchdowns this year, had a big return to begin the ball game, and then on his second return got hurt. And Breston will take a knee here. No, he won't. And comes out to the 19-yard line. Wow. A lot of pushing and shoving going on. You talked about this rivalry. Seattle won the division 4 years in a row up until 2008 when Arizona won it, and then the Cardinals champions again last year.
We had a heck of a collision down there. We've got a man down, can't quite tell who it is, but that was a heck of a collision.
That's Jason Wright. Jason Wright, a good sign, was able to get up and walk off the field, but Brian Billick took a major hit.
Boy, you could hear that one up here in the booth.
So as they tend to him on the Arizona sideline, Cardinals trail by 10, 7 minutes to play in the third quarter. Good protection. And a dangerous throw is intercepted. Batted into the air and then into the arms of Kelly Jennings. And just like that, Seattle is back in business.
Boy, this is you hate this one now. You can see up here at the bottom Larry Fitzgerald, and the ball's good and high, but the thing, he's got to keep it high because of the underneath coverage. Oh, it looks like it was tipped by the defender. Worst nightmare. Anytime a ball goes up in the air, you got to love that as a defense because you got more people around the ball than the offense does.
That was Jordan Babineau who knocked it into the air and intercepted by Jennings as Matt Hasselbeck is back in the game. Flag down as it's dropped by Obamanu. Well, you can't have it dropped in there any better than that.
Oh boy, we're going to have an illegal contact, but that doesn't make up for the fact that they had a touchdown.
Illegal contact, defense number 29, 5-yard penalty, first down.
That would have been a heck of a knockout punch here, just down here on the outside. Beautifully thrown ball. And again, double move. They've been working these double moves all game long. They must have thought that they can get Arizona on their corners with these hitch and goes. That had touchdown written all over it.
Obamanu had it right there. The first down. And they put it right back in his hands. Still on his feet. Steps out of bounds at the 23-yard line.
I'm a little surprised they don't have Deon Butler in for these types of plays. As we said, Obamanu, good size receiver, excellent blocker, has been a special teamer most of his career. Deon Butler's the one that you want to get the ball in his hands any way you can because he can make something happen. Typically on a reverse, you do that with a quicker Butler than you would the big receiver like a Williams or Obamanu.
Forsett out of the backfield and run out of bounds all the way inside the 10 and right at the 10. That'll be a first down.
Boy, I just am more and more impressed with Forsett's burst. Paris Lennon had the angle on Forsett, and as he came around that edge, I don't think Paris Lennon had any idea Forsett could run like that because he had all the leverage and Forsett just shot past him.
Forsett had a real nice season in 2009 with Seattle. Led him in rushing. Caught 41 passes out of the backfield. That's incomplete. Obamanu, the intended target. You know, those guys get labeled, Brian, and look, for a long time you were one of the guys, you know, part of labeling. You do that to players. You do that in life. I mean, he's a guy that's not all that big. And we asked Pete Carroll about him yesterday. He said, you know, I don't know if he could carry the load regularly, but we certainly like a lot of things he's able to do for us.
And he'd be a good combination. Butler actually belongs in the slot a little bit more. You have big receivers on the outside with him in the slot. That's a good combination.
There's Forsett, and he takes a big hit by Toller down at the 2-yard line. They're going to mark it actually at the 1-yard line.
What about you?
Well, Forsett's kind of the last option here. You're going to see him in the backfield. He slips out after the stacked wide receivers. Hasselbeck takes a quick peek, doesn't like it. You know what? Forsett's doing pretty good. I'll just get the ball in his hands real quick.
All right. Third down and goal, empty backfield. And they just lay it off for Williams. And he is denied the end zone. All right, here we go again. Fourth down and goal from right around the 1. And no debate this time by Pete Carroll. He's sending the field goal unit out.
Yeah, it would have made more sense for me to go for it here than he did on that first fourth down where he went for it and got denied. You've got a 2-score differential here. Here, clearly, this will separate it even more had he gotten the touchdown. But had he decided to go for it here, I would have questioned that less than the previous 4th and 1.
Chip shot here, 19 yards away. 23-10 Seattle. A team that was humiliated in back-to-back games against Oakland and the Giants, and they're playing very well here today. Let's check in with Nichelle Turner.
Injury updates for you guys. LaRod Stevens-Howling still battling that hamstring. He's got it wrapped up again. He's here on the sideline. Also, running back Jason Wright, who's primarily on special teams. They believe he has a concussion. He's down here still getting checked out by the trainers. Back to you.
Nichelle, thanks so much.
Wright's going to be taking those tests that Hasselbeck took. He's going to be asked all about all sorts of numbers and counting back. The one I got me, count backwards from 100 in sevens.
Yeah.
How much? I hope that's not a time test. I don't know if I could do that one.
So you're all over me all the time about 101.
Well,
right? Okay, and that's
going forward.
101.
Yeah. I hope that thing's not timed, because going backwards in sevens that would catch me. But Mr. Wright there is going to be counting backwards from 100 by sevens here, probably on Monday or Tuesday.
Well, we certainly hope he's going to be all right. So Steve Breston again waits. And standing about 10 yards away from him is Andre Roberts, number 12, with Jason Wright out of there. Now Breston going to bring it out again. And this time out to the 22-yard line. And let's send it back to Los Angeles to Kurt Menefee. Kurt.
Well, they had a 12-minute power outage at the Meadowlands, but it re-energized the Giants, it seems like. Mario Manningham, 5-yard touchdown reception from Eli Manning. And the Giants inch a little bit closer. Dallas still up by a couple of scores, 26-13. Tom, Brian, Nichelle?
Still a long way from saying Dallas is going to get a win in that one.
Yeah, and New York, uncharacteristically, you don't think of them that way. They're number 2 in the league in explosive play, so they can get back real quick.
Arizona needs to get something going offensively. They hand it off to Hightower, and he picks up 2 yards.
Well, whatever they do, they got to convert on third down. They're 0 for 6, and that's stopping every drive. If you start having those kind of troubles on third down, you may have to start taking more shots on first and second down, because right now a convertible, I don't know what a convertible third down is when you're 0 for 6.
Well, they're so used to watching such a high-octane offense here in Arizona the last couple of years with Kurt Warner at quarterback. Anderson is sacked, the ball is loose, and Seattle's recovered. Stripped out of there by Aaron Curry.
Boy, they had just a 2-man route. They left both tight ends in. You're going to see here both tight ends. They motioned a tight end into the backfield to opt for protection. And when you have a 2-man route and you get sacked, terrible job by the back and the tight end at the top. You got to work in tandem there. Derek Anderson didn't have a chance.
Stripped away by Curry, covered up by Chris Clemens. Seahawks have it first down at the Arizona 17.
Got the big back Marshawn Lynch in here. Might pound away on this one.
Nowhere to go. There's a situation here, is it not, Brian Billick, where for Arizona defensively, you have to hope to hold them, worst case scenario, to a field goal. The way this Arizona offense is going, it's hard to imagine that they're capable of scoring 3 touchdowns in a quarter.
Yeah, now that would take it to a 16-point differential. I'm not sure you don't have to take some shots at getting the ball away altogether, because 3 points can be devastating here. That's 2 touchdowns with 2 extra points. 2-point extra points. Wow.
Catch is made by Williams, and that's another first down.
They're clearly in field goal range, and what I'm alluding to is you got to come up with a turnover here. Even if they come away with 3 points and 16-point differential, the way this Arizona offense is going, this is where Pete Carroll, I like shots into the end zone right now, but boy, 3 points is huge in this game the way Arizona's playing. So Billy Davis has got to dial something up to force a turnover, either with pressure or a trap defense.
Forsett for a yard. Mike Williams, by the way, his second career 100-yard receiving game. You were there for his first against Chicago. Today, 9 receptions for 117 yards.
That was a game that Mike Williams and Marshawn Lynch kind of burst on the scene for Seattle. They had just traded for Lynch, gave them a physicality in the running game they hadn't had, and a presence out at wide receiver that they had not had previous to that big game as well.
Second and goal.
Williams is up here.
Pump fake to him. And then Hasselbeck throws it away.
And Matt Hasselbeck knows the point differential I'm talking about. If he gets a clean shot to the end zone, you don't want to turn the ball over here, because a 16-point lead could be huge for Arizona. He knows that. He's a smart veteran. You're not going to take too many chances. You might even see that draw and trap again here in this situation. Doesn't look like it the way they're configured. Yep. Second guess myself. I was wrong. Exactly what they did.
Big Gabe Watson threw his arms around Forsett on a third down run. So out comes the field goal unit to try and make it a 16-point lead.
And this is what a head coach like Pete Carroll's going to do now. You've got to, that's your job as an offensive coordinator. You just want to call touchdown plays, but it's your job as the head coach. Look, this 3 points is huge. You know, I'm a competitor, but 16 points, that is huge in a game like this. Let's don't risk a turnover.
23-yard field goal try. Good snap, good hold, good kick. We'd like to welcome the men and women in uniform serving around the world, watching our telecast today of the NFL on Fox on AFM, the American Forces Network, in 175 countries and aboard 140 ships at sea. As we celebrated, of course, Veterans Day this past week. For those of you currently serving, our thoughts and prayers are with you. We're very proud of you and can't thank you enough for your service. Of course, a fallen hero who played in the NFL for these Arizona Cardinals, played collegiately at Arizona State, Pat Tillman. A statue erected in his honor outside the stadium. And on this Veterans Day this past Thursday, many recognized him. In fact, they had a ceremony before the game today.
Represents what's best about this game, what's best about this country. When you see the unselfishness like a Pat Tillman, reminds us all of the commitments that we have to one another and our country.
So now the question becomes, can Arizona get anything started offensively? Not a single yard of offense in this third quarter, not one.
Well, at this point, Derek Anderson, you know, I was able to spend some time with Kurt Warner on Thursday, and they recognize he can't run Kurt Warner's offense. That's not what Derek Anderson's about. They've not tried to do it in this game. Well, right now, you better pull that game plan, that old game plan out, because that style of offense is the only thing that's going to get you back in it at this point.
Anderson is sacked on first down back at the 15 by Chris Clemens.
And unfortunately, that leads right into what they love to do here. You're going to see a nickel man up in here. I can't see him. He steps out of the screen, drawing protection, allowing the defense, in this case Clemens, because the offensive line, the Seattle Seahawks have a huge pressure package out of their nickel package. It can be very confusing. Clearly in the alignment that Arizona is right now, you're going to see a lot of these nickel blitzes and pressures coming out of Seattle.
Incomplete. He had an eye on early Doucette and took a hit from Aaron Curry. Tell you, look at that play a moment ago, the first down play when he got sacked, Brian, and I mean, Levi Brown did not attempt to block Clemens, and then the running back did not touch Clemens.
Right here, this is what I'm talking about. See the nickel back right there? That's confusing the offensive line as to which way they open, who has what. It's going to leave them vulnerable because Seattle has, again, as I say, one of the most creative nickel pressure packages in the league with 6, sometimes 7 DBs.
Third down at 15. And
delay of game, offense, 5-yard penalty, third down.
boy, it's gone from ugly to uglier. And there's only one more tenth in that sentence.
Yeah, this is not in Derek Anderson's wheelhouse. Derek Anderson's a guy that you need to run the ball, let him play fake. He'll make big plays down the field. He's a sub 60% completion guy, spreading it out this way and making him to account. Look at this. Look at all this move. I don't know what you call that defense. That's just a whole bunch of folks moving around.
William Malloy playing center field all the way back to the 30-yard line. And there were 3 white jerseys around Steve Breston. Anderson 1 for his last 10 for 32 yards and an interception. But it's hard to get on him.
No, this is, like I said, this is not what they want to be doing right now. The nickel babs, they call it in Seattle, for Jordan Babineau. He's the guy that they replace the linebackers with secondary people, puts a lot of pressure on the offensive line. This is not what Arizona is built for right now.
Good punch. And Washington with a great move.
Great move.
Still on his feet, and Washington with a punter to beat. And is run out of bounds inside the 15. They'll mark it all the way down at the 11-yard line.
What a great initial move to get to free. Watch this step. Watch this little stab right here. Just a subtle stab, and then boom, gets the whole defense or the special teams flowing, and now has the speed Leon Washington does to open it up. Great individual return by Leon Washington.
Mike Leach faked on that move by Washington, and then it was Darrell Washington who was able to catch Leon Washington. Here comes Butler. That's what you suggested a short while ago.
Right, ran the same play obviously with Obamanu. Butler more suited for that type of play.
I don't know if we've seen a quarter of football dominated like this third quarter by Seattle. We're back after a word from your local Fox station. (26-10) as we're set to begin the fourth quarter here in Arizona. Seattle with the ball, second down, inside the 10-yard line. All day to throw. And right through the hands of the tight end, John Carlson. We have not called his name all day today.
No, we're back in that situation we talked about earlier. I hate to keep focusing on this differential here. He just nice, safe, high pass. There again, take it off the top of the rim. I'm not going to risk what might have been a higher completion percentage, but a riskier pass throwing it low. But a field goal here turns it to a 3-score game, Tom. Almost prohibitive for Arizona at this point, even at 14:54. We'll see how conservative or aggressive they want to be.
Third down, Seattle, and is that a catch by Williams? Still no official ruling on the field.
I think it's clearly a catch. The question is it a first down or is it a touchdown?
Needed to get right at the 1. And they're going to bring out the sticks for a measurement.
Just a nice little delay, right? Nice job by Hasselbeck. Again, Mike Williams, so big, he just kind of envelops the secondary, whoever's covering him. He's such a big physical target. You can throw a pass like that and be very comfortable that he's going to come up with it. Looks clearly to be a first down to me, but we'll see. Yep,
it is.
question is, where was he? You can see as Hasselbeck steps up now as he catches the ball, the knees down right there. It's behind the 1 yard line. The marker appears to be up there at the 1 yard line. Might have got a bit of a favorable spot there.
And they're going to challenge this. Ken Whisenhunt has thrown his flag all the way to the 4 yard line.
Yeah.
And he will challenge that spot.
And again, typically they will.
Arizona's challenging the ruling on the field. It was a completed pass.
So again, the ruling is a completed pass for a first down. And now they're going to take a look at it. Arizona challenging the spot of the ball as you take a look at the completed pass to Mike Williams.
And here's the unique thing. It looks like he is short. But the question becomes, where's his control? We're going to find out from Scott Green here.
After reviewing the play, the ruling on the field is confirmed. The receiver got possession, maintained possession of the ball. It'll be first and goal on the 1 yard line. Arizona is charged with a timeout.
Again, let's check in with Mike Pereira back at our Fox Command Center. Mike, how'd you see it?
Well, I see it the same way. They actually had two things to look at. Whether or not it was a catch, that to me was the easiest one. The spot was more difficult because when he first touched the ground, he appeared to be short, but he didn't control the ball. The ball bobbled around, and so he really doesn't get possession until he was beyond the line.
There you see him bobbling the ball, and by the time he does come up with it, right there is where they spotted it and got it correct. We thank Mike Pereira once again. Second time we've had Mike with us during the game today. It's first and goal from inside the 1. And denied the end zone is Lynch.
You know, listening to Mike on that, I'm not sure that then Seattle couldn't have come back, because if he didn't have control and ended up on top of the DB, he actually didn't touch the ground again until he got in the end zone. You could have come back and say, hey, maybe that was a touchdown. Interesting, that control factor of it, the fact that he was laying on the DB.
Lynch again. And the Seahawks are saying touchdown.
Doesn't matter if they say it. Got to wait for the officials. Looks like it's a little short.
Got to be wearing black and white. It's not a touchdown. Third down and goal now for the Seahawks.
And we've talked about it many times, Tom. Goal line defense as a coordinator, you just got to decide, am I stopping the run or am I going to play for the pass? You can't do both. You got to decide, and if you guess wrong, it looks ugly. But on this one, you sell out to stop the run.
Lynch for a third time, and down he goes. All right, you already have a 16-point lead.
Yeah,
you go for it.
You kick the field goal. Yeah, because now we're talking a 3-score game. This one's a no-brainer. Now you're taking it from a 16-point differential to a 19-point.
Big hit there. Those are the things I would imagine, O'Brien, as a head coach, if you're able to get out of here and get a win, they'd have to make you crazy. A couple of times today you've had third and very short, fourth and very short, and not been able to pick up that single yard. As the field goal try is good. I want to hear your response to that when we come back. It's 29-10 with nearly a full quarter left. 29-10. Seattle in front. I don't know about you, Brian Billick. I don't know if anybody saw this coming, including the most ardent Seattle Seahawks fan after what they watched the last 2 weeks.
We saw a little life after the Chicago game, then they beat Arizona in a sloppy win up in Seattle. But the last 2 weeks, you could not have anticipated doing what they're doing now.
Well, Preston going to try and make something happen 4 yards out of his own end zone. And he's leveled at the 21-yard line. Tonight on Fox, an all-new episode of The Simpsons gets a free ride to higher education, and now they're living the good life, and the upper class will never be the same. Don't miss an all-new Simpsons 8 Eastern, 7 Central, on the only place for new episodes, Fox. I asked you a question before we went to break about Pete Carroll in Seattle and the inability to cash in on 3rd and short a number of times today, 4th and short. It's a false start against Arizona before the snap of the ball.
False start. Goes offense number 15. 5-yard penalty. First down.
Goes right back to what we're talking about. I want you to watch the movement of these nickel backs. There's 6 of them in the game. The line is having to make calls, and it's forcing them to turn their shoulders. They want to get into the set right here. You got you got nickel backs here. Watch the movement in this secondary. This is very confusing for Seattle, or for Arizona right now.
Big hit after a 1-yard gain. Look at some of the late scores. Dallas still leading in New York. How about Denver just blasting Kansas City? And a tight one in San Francisco as Arizona's in a hurry-up mode. Trailing by 19. Early due set, short of a first down.
Tom, you asked about Pete Carroll and what perspective he has on some of the things that have gone wrong for Seattle. As a coach, to be honest with you, I got a game in my back pocket here. My Monday's looking pretty good because, you're feeling good about your guys, but you know what? I got a whole bunch of things I'm going to want you to look at to point out that we need to be a lot better, including that last goal line progression. So from a teaching progression, he's got just what he wants.
Third down, they rush 4. And Preston a first down catch, their first conversion on a 3rd down today.
And they clearly have to stay in this no huddle the rest of the way, because with 10:47, you need 3 scores. You don't have time to huddle up. So everything's going to fall on the shoulders of Derek Anderson and the calls he can come up with.
Blitz coming. Incompleted pass.
You know, and I talked with Larry Fitzgerald before the game. Of course, Larry was a ball boy for me in Minnesota way back when. What an outstanding young man. And you could tell his frustration to a degree after having been with a Kurt Warner. Derek Anderson, he wants to support him, but the lack of accuracy by Derek Anderson makes it very difficult for a receiver to have the kind of faith in the quarterback that you need.
Fitzgerald the catch for a first down. Well, we talked about the last 3 years and Fitzgerald with Kurt Warner. They had nearly 17,000 yards of total offense over those last 3 years, and almost 13,000 of those, or 76%, came through the air. And Fitzgerald, the biggest benefactor of all those passing yards, do set down to the 34-yard line. Then you get into the whole Matt Leinart thing, where Leinart, former #1 pick out of USC, it just never felt right. I lived here at the time when they brought him in, and for whatever reason, Brian, it just never felt like it was going to fit.
And Matt Leinart and Derek Anderson can't run the offense that Kurt Warner does. You shouldn't try to even do that, and I think they realize that.
Incomplete on the pass to Preston. Of course, they decided to turn Leinart loose, give Anderson the job at the end of the exhibition season. And then after Anderson struggled, Max Hall, a rookie undrafted free agent out of BYU, got a chance to start 3 games.
And you can see they're in a 3-by-2 alignment, no backs. This opens it up. Derek Anderson's responsible for outside pressure, but it does give you more options.
Good throw and a good catch to Fitzgerald down to the 15.
They ought to stay with this 3-by-2 alignment. You can put the back in the backfield occasionally, but that tightens the defense, actually can make it tougher on you. You can see here the difference now. They're in a 2-by-2 with the back in the backfield. Different alignment than what we just saw.
And Lawyer Malloy sacks Anderson back at the 23.
And that's what I'm referring to. When you put the back in the backfield, that allows you to bring some pressure here by way of Malloy, that now you have to actually block them. I'm not sure they're not better off going in that by 3-by-2 alignment if they bring the extra man, get the ball out of your hands just that much quicker. Malloy, one of the better pressure safeties in this league to go with an Adrian Wilson. Kerry Rhodes has done that well his entire career as well.
Second down, Hightower. And he has a first down inside the 5. That's good hard running by Tim Hightower.
Now that you've got it down there, you've got to get back to a more orchestrated call. You kept the back in here for protection. Last time he got beat on protection. This is the same as going into that 3-by-2, open it up. I'll just sneak him out right now. Derek Anderson saw the pressure, knew he had to get it out of his hands quickly.
The first and goal at the 2-yard line.
You take the time to huddle up down here because you got to have the right call.
Jump ball for Fitzgerald. Incomplete. Defended beautifully by Kelly Jennings.
You know, a lot of people will say, well, where was this the first 3 quarters? Why didn't you do this? Well, because Seattle wasn't going to get in that same configuration, when the game is tight. It's a much more complex package. We talked about the 3-score differential. Pete Carroll's calling a game with that differential in mind right now. Might look for a draw or trap here.
Early descent into the end zone. Touchdown, Arizona. And they're going to go for 2.
Again, just the college quick screen out into here. He comes right back into here with some blocking. Get the guard, the tackle out there as well. Kind of like an extended handoff. See it in college game all the time. Same as a run.
Well, you needed that touchdown, a 2-point conversion. You need another touchdown and another 2-point conversion, then a field goal to tie this game.
This one, you know, you're just trying to get the points. The chart says go for 1 here, but at this point, you're just trying to accumulate as points as you can get with a 13-point differential.
They get the 2-point conversion on the pass to Fitzgerald. So don't go away quite yet. 7:52 to play. 29-18 Seattle. All right, still a little bit of time left in this one. 7:52 to play. 12 plays, 79 yards. A touchdown catch to early Doucette. 2-point conversion to Larry Fitzgerald.
Too early for an onside kick. Clearly, you got to count on your defense to get a 3-and-out here. Oh my gosh!
That's a live ball. The question is, did it go 10 yards?
No, it did not.
Well, there are flags all over the field. Arizona appears to have the ball, but again, did it go a full needed 10 yards before it was touched for the very first time?
Boy, it didn't look like it got the 10 yards to me. Watch Jay Feely here. Got to get right to the 40. As he's in here, he starts to go down. Now,
illegally touching the ball before it goes 10 yards.
Yeah.
Kicking team. It'll be Seattle's ball, 1st and 10 at the spot of illegal touching.
it looks like it hit his knee before he got to the 10 yards. This is challengeable. From this angle, yeah, right there, it looks like we really can't see with the scrum. It looks like it might have hit his knee first. Remember, the ruling on the field was that it did. Now we'll look from this angle. Yeah, I don't know. We're not seeing anything yet that can turn it the other way. So I imagine we're going to see the officials if indeed that we go to a challenge situation. And I don't know why you wouldn't hope against hope.
I think Jay Feely is saying that Matt McCoy came out and touched that ball before Feely made contact with the ball.
Like I said, unfortunately, he doesn't get a vote, though. They ruled it as having touched the knee first. It did not go to 10 yards. Here's a better look here. Nice and tight. Right there, yeah. It just hit his right knee before it got 10 yards.
Great pictures by our crew.
We'll take right now. He's and I believe this is challengeable.
Of course, a lot of times
Arizona is challenging the ruling on the field that the ball was illegally touched prior to going 10 yards.
Well, it won't take long, at least one wouldn't think, to come back with a decision here.
After reviewing the play, the ruling on the field is confirmed. The kicker number 4 touched the ball prior to it going 10 yards. It'll be Seattle's ball, 1st and 10. Arizona is charged with their second timeout.
And Scott Green saw the same thing we saw. When he says confirmed, it means they are seeing on the film exactly what we did as he comes in, approaching the yard marker right here, maybe even the ankle, but clearly as it comes in there, stop right there. You can see the knee. It hits the knee and then bounces back down. Clearly hit an Arizona man, in this case Feely, prior to going 10 yards. Got the call right.
All righty, so 7:49 to play. And Seattle with the football at the Arizona 39-yard line.
Turning it to a run.
Lynch with a flag coming in late. Dropped by Alan Branch right at the line of scrimmage.
Holding. Offense, number 78. 10-yard penalty. First down.
That's Tyler Columbus. Tell you, the offensive line today, you mentioned it very early in the game, Brian Billick. The 7th different offensive line combination Seattle has been forced to use this year due to so many injuries. They have played very well here today.
Yeah, they got lit up with just a simple 4-man rush against New York, but have held up very well today. Not only in pass protection, but they've run the ball very well indeed.
Of course, they had all the injuries last year along the offensive front. That's a dangerous throw right there by Hasselbeck, and it'll bring up 2nd down and 20. It stops the clock, more importantly. All right, let's check in on some of the late games where it's still Dallas over the Giants. San Francisco just got the football back with under 5 minutes to play, trailing St. Louis in another big game in the NFC West.
Oh my goodness.
What a reception made by Mike Williams.
Oh my goodness, look at this.
This was the kind of play that Williams made regularly at USC, which warranted him being a #1 draft pick by Detroit. Take a look at this.
Oh boy, he just reaches up. I'm not even sure he caught it with his arm. Watch this. He just kind of cradles it down. Yeah, one hand and cradles it back into the. This guy has incredibly long arms and incredibly strong hands. That's a big-time play right there, young man.
Wow. 11 catches, 145 yards. And Lynch still on his feet down to the 15, another first down.
Boy, we thought he had a big game last time up in Seattle with 11. This is the big play to get down scoring position as well. Another big game. He's going to like playing Arizona. Anytime he sees them on the schedule, he's going to like that.
Well, we talked so much about Williams, a #1 draft pick in 2005, the 10th pick overall. His rookie year in 14 games with the Lions, he had 29 receptions. Now think about the next 3 years of Mike Williams' playing career in life. He had a good rookie year. Then you start in 2006, he played a total of 8 games. He had 8 catches the entire year. The following year, he had 7 catches. Detroit turned him loose. He split time between Oakland and Tennessee. Both of them said, "You're done." He ballooned up to 275 pounds, did not play a single down of football in 2008 or 2009.
And as I said earlier, he's a man that knows what it is to be on the street. He does not want to go back. What a presence for your locker room. What an example for your young players about what it is to be a professional now.
Timeout.
Seattle.
Yep. This is their first charge timeout. It's a 30-second timeout.
Spending its first timeout. Final 5:21 coming from here in Glendale, Arizona. Well, the good news is for Manning, those are the good numbers you see. There's some ugly in there too.
Yeah, interception on the goal line going for a pick 6 the other way. Leads the list.
Des Bryant, 104 receiving yards on just 3 catches. Steven Jackson hoping the Rams defense can stand tall as Troy Smith has just hit a 30-yard completion down the middle of the field to get deep into St. Louis territory.
Well, Seattle not only wants to score here, they love to take a little clock off, a little time off the clock.
Golly day, you really got to wonder about that throw with 5:16 to go.
Yeah, you could have dirted it a little in front of this guy, obviously. He was throwing it away, but that was dangerously close. I know he's a defensive lineman, but
man. I mean, Branch taking it 80 yards more than likely doesn't happen, but talk about last week being humiliated against the Giants. Ran only 37 offensive plays. 30 more than that here today. So, Brian, your summation of this NFC West on his 3rd and 7. Pump fake, looking for Williams.
well, you know, God bless America in the NFC West. 8-8 could win it. You know, we're a long ways from finding out exactly what it's going to be. This division typically doesn't put but one team into the playoffs. Seattle's going to keep pace with St. Louis now, and you got to give St. Louis, particularly if they can win. I know San Francisco just scored
a touchdown to take the lead in that game.
Yeah, which would now put Seattle in an excellent position to now be a game up in the division.
It'll be a 29-yard field goal try, and this one is no good. Still 5:06 to play. Let's send it to Los Angeles and check in with Kurt Menefee.
San Francisco and St. Louis continue to go back and forth. Troy Smith, who's got 356 yards passing, adds 16 to it and a touchdown. Nice catch by Michael Crabtree. Puts the 49ers on top, 20-17, just outside the 2-minute warning. Tom and Coach.
All right, thank you very much. Murray.
3 parts to a kick: the snap, the hold, the kick. He just flat missed that one. The proverbial chip shot.
Well, we'll see if Arizona can find a way to get down the field and then really make things interesting. If the Cardinals could score a touchdown quickly here. Good coverage on Fitzgerald by Kelly Jennings. 2nd down.
And it will infuriate Seattle fans, this passive mode that I'm sure Seattle will be in. anything but the single big score. You'll let them ease their way down the field, complete some balls. It's, the prevent defense just prevents you from winning. But again, with the 2-score differential that we're talking about, it's the smart thing to do.
Early Doucette may have heard a few footsteps there. Earl Thomas was closing hard and fast.
Now, where you typically will see pressure from the defense, even in this situation, you wouldn't think of it in a 3rd and long, but you may bring pressure to force the quick throw, the hot throw by the quarterback, rally up and make the tackle. You don't care if he gets 9 yards. You don't care if he gets 9.5 yards. Just won't give him 10. And here comes the pressure. Yep.
Anderson steps up through the hands of Steve Breston. So Arizona on 4th down, forced to go for it with 4:53 to play.
Yeah, you do. If you're going to onside kick in the previous situation, then you got to go for it here.
Arizona this season 3 out of 7 on 4th down. Is that Clemens sacks Anderson back to the 10-yard line.
Boy, Levi Brown on the left side. Cardinal sin. I want you to watch how he turns his shoulder. He opens to Clemens. See how he turns like that square? All he did was open the door directly into the quarterback. Clemens couldn't help but take this. He couldn't have got there any faster if he had just made a beeline and a straight line shot to the quarterback. You cannot open your shoulders like that as an offensive lineman.
Many wondered, at least around here, we got into town, Brian, and you listen to some of the talk radio, and many felt like if Arizona lost this game, which would send the Cardinals 3 games under 500, that they were going to have a very, very hard time getting back to the playoffs. Lynch about a half yard short of a touchdown.
Well, in this division, you pretty much have to win it to get into the playoffs. That's just been the MO of the NFC West. There's enough good play going on around. You can see here you're within striking distance because, again, we've seen week after week, if Seattle can win this, they'll go to 5-4. We don't know where the St. Louis-San Francisco game is going to go. If St. Louis loses and goes to 4-5, this thing is still bundled up. But you pretty much have to win this division to go to the playoffs.
Well, here they are against Seattle on short yardage situations and just cannot convert. That's the only thing the Seahawks have not done well today.
And now you take your goal line personnel. It actually kind of benefits Seattle in kind of an odd sort of way because it gets you to spread that out a little bit because Arizona's clearly lining up to just bring everybody to stop the run. Now you're going to spread it out a little bit. Doesn't mean you're still not going to run, but maybe you can loosen this defensive box just a little bit by bringing in normal personnel.
Under 4 minutes to go. And the Cardinals felt like they had 5 of their final 8 games of the year at home, including this one today. For Seattle, you and I will see the Seahawks again next week. That's a tall order in New Orleans. But then you come back home. 2 very winnable games against Kansas City and Carolina. A big one inside the division down in San Francisco. And then you go up against a very good Atlanta team.
Well, and Seattle obviously has they finished with St. Louis at the end of the season, San Francisco. So just what the league wanted. you got to play within the division and win within the division as well. So that's going to give both Arizona and Seattle, notwithstanding what happens with San Francisco, some hope as to making something happen here, because you can directly affect your own fate. But as we said, it's going to take a winning of the division. You're not going to have a wild card member come out of this NFC West. Doesn't happen very often.
Arizona, confused defensively, has to spend its final timeout. All right, what about for Ken Wisenhunt and the Cardinals? The only team with a winning record on their schedule the rest of the way, at least right now, is next week at Kansas City. And then they have the 3 games in a row at home. That's why a lot of people felt like if they could get a win today, you know what, they might be in business again.
Yeah, and in this division, and you're never out of it until you're out of it. But obviously this is going to set them behind. Plus, having been swept by Seattle, the head-to-head starts to come into play as well. Doesn't bode well for Arizona, losing head-to-head to Seattle and losing at home.
All right, 3rd down and goal now.
I'd look for Mike Williams, that little slant route, if they don't run it. Yeah, this is the right thing to do.
And that's forced set into the end zone for a touchdown. And after the way the last 2 weeks went for Seattle, the Seahawks should be celebrating.
Pete Carroll's going to find a lot of good things, obviously, to go over with this team. I will tell you, you know, we had them in Chicago when they were fired up. They beat Arizona in Seattle. This is what was a subdued Seattle team last night. They stayed in our team hotel.
Yep.
Confident, but a little more subdued. This will get a little of that swagger back that we saw earlier after those big wins against Chicago and this Arizona team in Seattle.
36-18 to score. Of course, Pete Carroll in his first year as head coach in Seattle, returning to the National Football League after spending the previous 9 years as head coach at USC, where he won 7 Pac-10 championships in a row, a couple of national championships. His 3rd chance as an NFL head coach. 1 year with the Jets, 3 years in New England. They completely flipped this entire roster. Pete Carroll did, along with the general manager John Schneider, having made 239 player transactions since they walked in the building.
By far the most in the National Football League. And it needed it, frankly, based on what had fallen off the last couple years. We saw a sign there a minute ago, "I'm in." That's Pete Carroll's mantra. He's got it on their locker room door going out. The door, you know, "I'm in. We're in this. We're in this together. We're buying in. We're drinking the Kool-Aid." It's a lot easier to sell that, obviously, when you're winning. But I tell you, Pete Carroll, there's an infectious enthusiasm about Pete. And you visit with the players and coaches, good or bad, know what it is. There's never a down day for Pete Carroll. He is competing every single day at practice, every time they step on a football field.
Preston from the goal line. And he'll be hunted down by Babineau and company. Fox NFL Sunday next week. It all begins with a pregame show at high noon. Brought to you by the all-new Ford Edge Drive One. Cardinals in Kansas City, Packers in Minnesota. You and I will be in New Orleans for the Seahawks and the defending Super Bowl champion.
The Seattle team we saw today will make a run at New Orleans if this Seattle team shows up.
Catch made by Early Doucette. Still on his feet across midfield. Well, Brian, we've seen in person Green Bay. We've seen Atlanta. We've not seen in person the Jets. We've seen the Saints. The way everybody's playing recently, New Orleans looks like the hottest team of the group. But how long does that last?
Next to Atlanta. Because keep in mind, we did that game where Atlanta beat New Orleans in New Orleans. I like New Orleans' schedule. I'm with you 100%. I think they're sized up schedule-wise to make a heck of a run here. But Atlanta at home against New Orleans, I'm not sure. I don't like those odds. we're likely going to see 2 teams come out of the NFC South. Those 2 teams, in whatever order it is.
I'm looking forward to the game you and I are going to see in 2 weeks from now.
Green Bay
goes to Atlanta.
And you got to be impressed with the job Mike McCarthy's doing, given the injuries that they've had.
Hightower will step out of bounds, stopping the clock. You know, you go back to that Atlanta game, though, and I know you and I have talked about it, and hey, a win is a win. But I remember Garrett Hartley missing that field goal from 25 yards away, and there's a lot of people saying that, you know, New Orleans not in that class. There's some other people out there.
No, that's a mistake to say that.
It's a mistake.
They're playing much better defensively. They've gotten better.
Second down.
If Arizona continues on this path, and we've talked about some of the teams, going to be an interesting dilemma for Ken Wisenhunt. They do like Max Hall, their young rookie. He's not ready to play. We've seen that. But at some point, the only way you're going to find out is to develop him in a game environment. When you do that, you're sending a clear message to your team where you're at. Always a tough circumstance. Arizona's quarterback may not be on this roster for the future.
When you're a head coach, Brian, and by no means do I want to imply that the Cardinals are going to start mailing it in. Neither you nor I are saying that, because they can very much in this NFC West get back in it with a nice run here. Rip off 3-4 wins in a row, which they're capable of doing, especially when you see that schedule we brought to you a moment ago. But when do you start thinking, because Wisenhunt's not going anywhere.
Right.
He's here for the long haul. So too is their general manager, Rod Graves. That's early movement on Levi Brown. As a staff, when are you starting to think, though, about those things?
Offense number 75.
Like
5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
Who's your quarterback and what direction you're going to go in?
You're constantly having those conversations on the second level of the building. As a coach, you're focused on this week, obviously. And you're not mailing in. You're absolutely right. You try to find a way to stay relevant. Whether it's, okay, let's knock somebody out of the playoffs. Let's have an impact on the playoff picture. And guys, by the way, I'm not going anywhere, so you better be competing for your jobs as well.
Fitzgerald, the first down to the 18.
And again, you configure yourself defensively. If you're going to score, make them take time to do it. It's all a matter of time right now. Don't want to have the quick score. Be careful about bringing pressure.
That's an incomplete pass. And that brings us to the 2-minute warning. Officially 1:56 to play. All Seahawks in the desert today. 1:56 to play at the University of Phoenix Stadium, and a 36-18 lead for Seattle. Coming off games where they were outscored by Oakland and the Giants 74-10. Anderson looking for Fitzgerald. And beautifully defended in the back of the end zone by Roy Lewis. He knocked the ball right out of Fitzgerald's hands.
I mean, Larry Fitzgerald, how many times have we seen this guy go up? Actually, kind of had his hands on it. Probably one there that Larry would like another shot at. How many times have we seen a Larry Fitzgerald come down with a throw just like that?
Well, they thought in regular speed that was Lewis who got a hand on it. That looked like a ball that Fitzgerald certainly catches more times than not. Blitz coming. 4th down.
Nice defensive play sequence by Seattle. You're being pressured from one side. spy out a DB or a lineman on the backside to take away the screen. Nice combination.
Seattle with 5 sacks in the game. Well, but they have hit Derek Anderson a ton.
And he's been in a tough situation because of the way they've had to open up both those edges to go no huddle pretty much this whole quarter.
That's another delay of game.
Delay of game. Offense, 5-yard penalty. 4th down.
Coming up at the conclusion of this game, the OT presented by Lowe's, where the entire gang will bring you up to speed on everything that took place around the National Football League today.
Well, we're all done with the buys. Everything's evened up. Everybody, you've identified who and what everybody is. Now it's a dash for the cash and see who can make the playoffs.
Looked like Deuce Latui started too soon.
False start. Offense, number 76. 5-yard penalty. 4th down.
Well, Sam Bradford has taken St. Louis down the field for a game-tying field goal. So that one headed to overtime. Troy Smith with a huge drive, leading to a touchdown, giving San Francisco a brief 3-point lead. You drafted him as a Heisman Trophy winner.
This is good young man. It's great to see him get an opportunity in San Francisco.
Well, he started his first game last week, got a win.
And he gives you that element. He can do some things in and out of the pocket. Of course, the world's been turned upside down if indeed St. Louis can stay in first place in the NFC West, and the Oakland Raiders are now in first place in the AFC West. Wow.
There are a lot of folks out there starting to really believe in the Oakland Raiders.
Yeah.
Are you one of them?
Boy, you know, I'm beginning to. They can continue to run the ball the way they have.
Well, now it's victory formation. Of course, Matt Hasselbeck injured. Charlie Whitehurst came in through an interception. And in the 6th possession since that interception, Hasselbeck leads him to 4 field goals and a touchdown. 5 of the 6 drives, it should be noted, started in Arizona territory.
But that's not their fault.
That's right.
You know, they got it where they got it. They did some good things today, and they're going to have to do a whole lot of them going down into the Dome. We got them next week. Look forward to seeing them match up against this good New Orleans Saints team.
But you know what? With everybody saying what they want to say, and you know what? Rightfully so about the NFC West. The bottom line, as we said at the beginning of the game, somebody will win this division, and that team will host a playoff game, whether people like it or
exactly
don't.
Right.
And Seattle's saying, why not us?
And Seattle is a tough place to play. Just as long as it's not the New York Giants, that's a tough place to play.
This will be the final snap of the game. The Seattle Seahawks rack up almost 500 yards of offense. In a 36-18 win here in Arizona. Hasselbeck coming back from a concussion. Hits 22 of 35 for 333 yards. We still have more to come from the desert. A final in Arizona, 36-18 Seahawks.